Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks very much for inviting me here. Healing Words. So this is a participatory creative writing and arts project that's been taking place in Newport last year and recently finished. Gwent Arts and Health, for those who don't know us, are an arts and health based charity, and we are based and housed within the United Bevan Health Board and work within their geographical remit. So we're separate too, but work alongside that. And many of our directives have been to work within mental health service users, whether in acute or community settings. And this project was designed to work with mental health service users within supported community settings. So we wanted to work with 3 different groups, and we were following a best practice model that was developed in 2009 on a similar project, which was in Gwent, working with Head for Arts, Arts Alive, Havel, and Mental Athlam. And we decided this time we were working and Literature Wales, and Literature Wales worked with us this time, and we also gained support with the Newport Library Service and the Newport Community Arts Development Team. And we had provision to take 3 separate poets, but we ended up working with 2, Michael Church and Patrick Jones, who worked with 3 different groups of mental health service users within the context of their communities. So we worked with Havel, and we worked with a group from Mind, and we worked with Jigsaw, who were a self-supporting and constituted group. One of the biggest changes since we ran the first project was that for external agencies that support mental health service users, their funding criteria had changed. So whereas we were previously able to work with groups and embed our activities and bring new activities into pre-formed groups, the groups were now far more self-supporting, and we didn't actually have a venue to go and visit the Mind group in, but we made a venue in the Newport Library. So along the way in the project, the poets worked with the various groups in either bringing creative writing in as a completely new activity or enabling people who were already interested in writing to write further. At the end of the project, we then brought an artist in for 3 weeks to work on illustrating the work that had been made. Events and performance opportunities were important to the project, and it was very obvious from the start that a number of the participants were somewhat self-selecting, and not that they were already performing and writing poetry, which was something we weren't quite ready for. And although to the majority of clients we worked with, we brought creative writing as a new experience for them, we were often helping people to hone their skills and encourage them. So we built a number of events into the project, including working with a big read event, World Poetry Day, where we took a poet on tour in the hospital. And we worked with Newport Community Arts Development Team with their Comedy Port Festival to actually have an event embedded within their Fringe Festival, aimed at clients being able to deliver some of their poetry work. Most of the slides that you'll see are the evidence from the arts-based side of the project. And whilst people were very happy to write and continue writing prolifically and perform at the drop of a hat, when we asked them to engage with a more artistic contribution, they went back to saying, "I can't draw," which was very interesting within the context, that it was to be prolific in terms of words didn't necessarily mean people felt creatively confident in other media. So the first thing we tried was light drawings, of which you've seen some examples here, where groups worked together working with LED lights and long exposures in order to create large pictures together. But we found that when it came to making more sustainable work, people were very happy to work on A4 pieces that they controlled themselves. So these 3 guys here, minus Lorna, were our Mind group, and all of them had very different aims and objectives in writing. Moman, actually I'll just talk about Paul. This is Paul's piece of work, and he wanted to make his writing into a graphic novel, and we tried to find a way that he could contribute to the project within our boundaries, and ended up with a writing landscape. And all of these pictures that you see were originally made in A4 size, but for the exhibition at the end of the project, we enlarged them all to A1 so that people could see the detail within them, but also exhibited the original artwork alongside it, so you could see the difference that scale made. This is a piece by Carl, who's a prolific poet, who was very boardy, and we had to find work that we could work with him that could be shown publicly and within a health context as well. this isn't Carl's work, this is Momin's work. And people brought work that they'd worked on before into the project and improved on it and shared it again. So, to start concluding here, the project finished with a poetry event that was also an opening for their exhibition, which was at the Riverfront in Newport. And it was very well supported by participants and by friends of the project. We met some new people along the way in the project, and also people who've been very vocal and proactive at the beginning in terms of participation, couldn't respond at the end of the project, because working with people with mental health, their cycles go up and down. So you see them sometimes, you don't. I would say that the big challenge with this project was that when you're working in acute settings, you find that you had a lot of support in holding the group by support workers and OTs who were there with you. When you're working in the community, you don't get that level of support. So we ended up using a lot of money and time just hand-holding and holding groups, because the poets and artists didn't feel that their skills range could cope with the size of personalities in the room. So that was one thing that we weren't aware of that we definitely are now. This exhibition is now going to go to Newport Libraries, who were another partner in the project. And their hope was to try and increase people's confidence at using library and library services. And the fact they've asked for this exhibition next is great for us. In terms of, we're in the feedback process at the moment, but everybody just wants more opportunities to say their poems. So we're not sure how we're going to work with that, because we're not an events-based organisation, but we're talking to people who are. And we're hoping to be able to run another series of workshops in the next financial year. This is Carl, very happy with himself.